Hello, my name is Naoko Fukumaru. I am based in Vancouver. I am an artist working in broken ceramics to create sculptures and also restore ceramics with traditional Japanese mending techniques called kintsugi, which is to restore with natural urushi lacquer and gold. I named exhibition Imperfect Offerings because I mainly use broken ceramics to create art. I present over 230 traditional and contemporary kintsugi works. Through my artworks, we can see once something broken transform into something beautiful, which is sometimes it's more beautiful because it was broken. This transformative spirit of kintsugi has emotional impacts on people, which echoes within and helping us to recognize and process and release our own internal pressures. This is my aim, to open people and to discover for themselves how to find beauty in imperfection. Kintsugi is a 500 years old traditional Japanese way to restore ceramics with natural lacquer, urushi, and gold. I knew kintsugi for a long time, but I was not broken enough to understand the beauty behind. Especially, I studied and practiced European philosophy of restoring ceramics, which is completely opposite of kintsugi. Kintsugi taught me how to overcome grief and finding how to be myself. And when I restore ceramics, I'm always also restoring myself. This philosophy is in traditional Japanese aesthetic, wabi-sabi, which is to find beauty in impermanent, imperfect, and incomplete. I'd like to share the story how I met kintsugi because it is very special. I moved to Canada 3 years ago, and a year later I received a message from a local potter, and she said, "Oh, I'm sorry I missed your kintsugi workshop. I really want to take your workshop next time. Please put me on your list." And I never gave kintsugi workshop. I don't even know how to do kintsugi. But wait a second, I'm sure I can learn because I did restoration of ceramics for 25 years professionally. So I ordered books from Japan and I studied for 6 months. I got theory and philosophy. And then when I was ready to do practice, I ordered materials from Japan and I handmade tools using bamboos from my backyard. And I asked local potter, so I'd like to know a bit more story. How did you end up making this mistake? She said, "Oh, I met an owner of a local art center in a parking lot, and she came out from the building and she was very disappointed because she couldn't take my workshop. It was full." So next day, I knocked the door of art center and I told her, "Thank you very much for your beautiful mistake. I'd like to start practicing as kintsugi artist in your art center." So I did 9 months art residency in her art center. And at the end of the art residency, I gave workshop to her and also local potters and local communities. So my kintsugi came because of someone's mistake. And also the life in Canada really contributed to my life because I was stuck in my unhappy, toxic marriage for long time, over 15 years. And I nearly giving it up my life because I'm coming from conservative Japanese culture. So I thought I have to live with it. It is my responsibility to live in this marriage. But caring a community told me I'm not alone. There are a lot of support. And also very honest and true friend in Canada. They told me my life is long. And the beautiful nature in Canada gave me strength to leave my relationship and be independent and become single mother. So if I didn't move to Canada, I didn't become kintsugi artist, and I didn't meet kintsugi. So I'm very, very grateful to, yes, to Canada. I collaborate with some of primary BC studio potters, Heinz Laffin, Glenn Lewis, Michael Henley, Shamian Johnson, and Wang An. And I don't collaborate typical way because they are aging, like between 80 years old to 95 years old. Some has health issues, some passed away. So my aim is to bring new mode of expression to these artists. I spend time with them, listening their stories and learning from their talk. And then from there, I get inspirations and their opinion. And then I create art using their broken ceramics. So they don't need to create new art. And for example, Wang An, this is another story. I coincidentally start collaborating with him. So the same local potter told me when I was practicing kintsugi, she said, "Oh, Naoko, would you like to use their broken ceramics from their rejection pile for kintsugi practice?" And I said, "Of course." So I visited their kiln and I was digging their soil to find a fragment for kintsugi practice. And her partner, Ron, he's also a potter, he pointed out one of the big yellow vase. She said this was made by Wang An, and this is most valuable in this pile. But I didn't really care because it was yellow and kintsugi gold doesn't work well with yellow, so I was ignoring it. But Ron kept talking about Wayne, how his life and how artistically he's amazing. So I listened to him for hours and hours when I was digging. And I thought, okay, I think I should take this yellow vase with me. And I took to my studio and I kept in a box for a month. And then one day, my 8-year-old daughter asked me, "Mom, I'd like to help your work." So I thought like, oh, she can clean that yellow vase because it was very dirty, left in the garden for years and years. So I took off the vase and then gave to her, and she was cleaning with a bamboo stick with a tissue paper. And my friend brought a friend from Vancouver and to show my studio. And this lady looked at this yellow vase and said, "Oh, this vase was made by my father." And she was a Gailan. And I was like, wow, I don't know anything about Wayne. I don't know Gailan. So I embarrassed myself. So I started studying about Wayne. And then I found like, wow, how fascinating his life is and his artworks. So after this vase I treated very well. We made a very special decoration. There was missing limb. It was quite like 2 inches missing. Wayne had put some inspiration from some of his artworks has a native influence. So I also took this influence and I also made a little bit of native design and then, yes, replaced this limb. So after I completed work, I wanted to continue working with Wayne's broken ceramics. So I sent a message to Goya and Gailan, the family, the daughters of Wayne. And I said, okay, I'd like to do collaboration with him. And they said, oh, I'm sorry, the Wayne is very sick. He had cancer, he had treatment, so he lost his energy. But this is actually the point of my collaboration. I'd like to collaborate. Someone cannot create new art because of some reasons. But with me helping and doing collaboration together, we can create something together again. So I didn't want to give it up. I said I'd like to invite Wayne to my studio. And Goya understood, and then she brought him to my studio February 2020. And he didn't want to come. He was tired to visit the stranger's studio, but as soon as he entered my studio, he was fascinated with all the works I have done, especially from the potter's point of view. The broken things is trash. It's end of life. They can't call as art, but I am using these unwanted, unloved items to make it to art. So he promised, okay, let's do collaboration together. So we decided to work together 2 weeks in Hornby in March. But unfortunately, the pandemic came and we needed to cancel just the day before I was going to Hornby. But it's sad, but at the same time, his spirit is living in his family and also inside of me. And all his ceramics, he put spirits in it. So I'm collaborating even after he passed away. His family is let me treat his collections, like hundreds of thousands of collections he has. I am able to restore with family's permission. When I restore ceramics or making art, I don't physically create art or restoring damaged ceramics. I also put back spirits which the ceramist created the ceramics. So and then this spirit grows and expands with the owners using all these ceramics, and I am going to, my goal is also to put back these spirits into good shape. So when the viewer comes, I direct them to have fun communicating with all the spirits of the ceramics.